And welcome to tonight's edition of the One Hood Power Hour. I am your co-host, Kahari Mosley, here with my wonderful co-host, Miracle Jones. And we have another great discussion for you tonight. We will be talking about the future of Wilkinsburg with Michael Rose from the Wilkinsburg Action Committee. And we will also be joined by serving his first term as mayor of the city of Wilkinsburg, Mayor Dontae Comans. But before we get to our Wilkinsburg discussion, Miracle, what are some of the things happening that we need to know about tonight?
So I think first and foremost, what's on everybody's mind has been the bridge collapse at Frick Park, and today they started removing some of the wreckage, removed the Port Authority bus, and so they could really start officially doing the construction to get the bridge up and running. So that has been an ongoing saga for those of us in the Pittsburgh area. Over the weekend, there was a bridge collapse. This bridge is one of the most popular and utilized bridges in the area. Over 10,000 commuters, pedestrians, and bikers use this bridge to travel back and forth. And so it's been a really ongoing, intense conversation about infrastructure. It also happened on a Friday when President Joe Biden was here to actually tout his infrastructure plan and how it was going to help people in Pennsylvania. So there has been a lot of ongoing conversations about why we really need to change our focus and priorities to really reinvest in infrastructure as we talk about expanding the city and bringing more people here, making sure we physically are able to have the capacity to extend and increase our population. So that was one of the biggest local stories that we had here.
And in state politics, we saw that the Democratic State Committee and the Republican State Committee was held in the Harrisburg area, and the ticket of Shapiro and Davis for governor, lieutenant governor, did get the support of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. We saw that none of the candidates for the U.S. Senate were able to meet the threshold, but it appears that Connor Lamb did have a plurality, if not a majority, of the votes in his favor, but just couldn't meet. I think it's a 2/3, 66% threshold. So we're really in the thick of 2022 of the midterm elections. Candidates are making moves. Candidates are really getting in gear. Candidates are getting endorsements. From all the candidates across the board. We saw, on the Republican side, it looked like there was a straw poll, and Mr. McCormick, who I believe is a hedge fund manager who has a lot of money, and it looks like him and Dr. Oz are going to be battling, who can spend the most of their personal wealth. But more and more reports say that this cycle is going to be $1 billion cycle in the state of Pennsylvania. So, any thoughts about some of the recent developments in the two major statewide races?
Yes, and I think a lot of people who were watching the games over the weekend got their first taste of how much money is being spent because there were already so many political ads just for people watching sports. And so it's going to be, again, people have said Pennsylvania is going to be the home of the $1 billion race. There's going to be so much money invested. While a lot of people weren't shocked that the Democrats committee wasn't able to endorse for Senate. There are a lot of people who are very excited about it because that means that it's going to be a very competitive race. And as we know, elections are basically boiled down to turnout, who can galvanize the base, who can bring people out. And not having this endorsement really means that the Senate candidates are really going to have to do the work and engage and to fight hard and to get every vote as it should be. And so it's going to have a very competitive race, but also on we're talking about elections. We do not have a map. Sunday was one of the first soft deadlines to have the congressional maps. That did not happen. There are a couple lawsuits put forth to have the Supreme Court decide and determine the maps. That's going to be an ongoing conversation. But when we're talking about elections, it's estimated that tomorrow the announcement for former Representative Jake Wheatley's seat will be open. And so that should be joined with the April 5th special election so that those in the 24th and 19th legislative districts will be able to know that who their candidates are and when their election is going to be. There's also been, the first reporting deadline for Congress, and it's being a very competitive race between congressional candidates Jerry Dixon and Summer Lee, who are meeting their fundraising goals. So we're really going to have a up and down battle race. And what people also really need to pay attention to, and is very important, and we're going to be talking about this in the coming weeks, is that there's going to be a lot of ballot initiatives coming through on how to do elections, on abortion, and some other issues. People have to pay attention to those. And lastly, and I know Kari, you won't probably talk more to this, the Act 77 also was just the mail-in ballot measures of Act 77 was ruled unconstitutional. We know there is a stay in place, but a lot of people are worried about what that means for our upcoming general elections, if at least our special elections we're still able to use the mail-in ballots. Kari?
Yeah, and as happened in the past here in Pennsylvania, uh, voting statutes, election statutes somehow always end up in the appellate courts. And, we tried to drive this message home last year when we had two Commonwealth Court seats up for election. One, which happened to be won by Lori Dumas, but this was a Commonwealth Court decision that ruled the current vote by mail statute, which is called the no excuse absentee voting system, where in the past, before Act 77, one would have to declare some sort of reason why they weren't able to go vote in person on election day, to get an absentee ballot, and then, vote by absentee. But the current system allows anyone to apply for absentee ballot and then vote by mail, and never have to go through, whatever, you know, um, challenges it would take to stand out in the cold, or, go out and vote on election day. Maybe you work, maybe you'll be out of town, but um, one had to go through a whole number of steps to kind of prove that, they were not going to be in the local area on election day to get an absentee ballot. But now, obviously, the rules have been relaxed, but now there's efforts to change the rules back to more like what they were before 2019. So it's going to be very interesting to see, how the appeals, go. And obviously, at any point, this could end up with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, who will also in a position, as you mentioned earlier, who could be looking at some of the new maps that are being drawn as well. So they could play a major role in the upcoming elections, maybe more so than any of the candidates. And again, that's why last year we made such a large focus as an organization on the courts and educating people about the importance of those offices.
Yeah, and again, people, I know people are tired. It's like there's no rest for the people who are involved in electoral politics. But there's still a lot of stuff that's happening and going on with the elections. It shows how interesting things are. We know there's going to be a lot of cases, a lot of candidates. Everyone is running for everything, and so it's very important. And we know, especially as we're looking at still the fights for the Voting Rights Act still going on. There's still pressure to make sure that we get, paid family leave. There's so much happening, and people just have to stay engaged. On top of that, we have the battles for school boards going on because critical race theory is still pushing a lot of people to run for these school board races. So there's a lot of stuff happening, and unfortunately, we really just cannot rest because we have to make sure that we're electing people that reflect our values and are going to make sure that our safety and our communities are paramount.
Yeah, absolutely. And now going from national politics, to regional politics, to now to very local. We, are very proud to be able to convene tonight's discussion, a special One Hood Power Hour, focusing solely on the future of Wilkinsburg. We know that over the past several months, there's been a lot of discussion in the local news about what's going to happen with the future of Wilkinsburg. There has been an effort by advocates within the Wilkinsburg community to begin a movement to have the city of Pittsburgh and Wilkinsburg come together. Some refer to it as annexation, others refer to it as a merger. But ultimately, the result would be Wilkinsburg would no longer exist as an independent municipality and would continue on as a community within the city of Pittsburgh. And there's been obviously folks also on the other side of that discussion as well. The purpose of tonight's discussion, is to really have an open forum to share the facts, to share perspectives, and to make sure the public is more informed about all the issues impacting Pittsburgh and how that not only will affect the city of Pittsburgh, but the future of the region. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Miracle to introduce our special guest tonight as we discuss the future of Wilkinsburg.
Yes, our guests really need no introductions. We have Mayor Dontae Comans, who is the current mayor of Wilkinsburg, and we have former Councilman Michael Rose joining us from the Wilkinsburg Action Society. So welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
Wilkinsburg Action Committee, but thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I really appreciate this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Miracle, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to get ready to start. First, I'm going to come to you, Mayor, and then I'm going to come to you, Michael. What is your current position on this annexation merger? And just so people know as going forward, and we follow up for the question.
Well, you were right when you first said it. This is an annexation by law. Calling a merger is very, very, very irresponsible. It's giving people the thought that or governing bodies are coming together, or people are coming together, or school districts are coming together, or police chiefs are coming together for the greater good of both communities to bring us together. So this is an annexation, which they go by the law that happened in 1903, I want to say, before 1910, to bring in Allegheny County. So my whole thoughts on this is just my same has been from the beginning. It's a rush process. When you have everyone saying, look, let's sit back and get together and talk and figure it out before, it makes sense to get together and talk and figure it out before, instead of signing yourself over and then wanting to come to the table to actually get something out of the deal. So like, I said, it's always been rushed.
Thank you. Michael?
Okay, my turn? Okay, yeah, so first of all, it's a misnomer that this thing has been rushed. Everybody who's been vaguely paying attention to in their community knows that this has been coming since 2006, when most of the people who support Dontae, by the way, like Denise Edwards, who's on the Wilkinsburg Council, she was the first one to say, "Hey, let's outsource our trash to the city." Then in 2011, it was oh, now it's the fire department. Then it it just keeps going on and on. We've outsourced and given away most of the community anyway, and in just about every other case, well, I would ask the mayor: was it a good idea to outsource the our trash to the city? Wasn't it a good idea to outsource the fire department to the city? Those are my first two questions to the mayor.
Yes, it was definitely cheaper than actually going to Biggs, millions of dollars for trash. First of all, they're not doing it for free. We're paying them. They're contract.
Yeah, but are we saving money? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
It's way cheaper than actually going to Biggs or any other waste department to do the trash. So,
exactly.
Yes,
and we're actually saving a lot of money. But however, as you know, we're in a hyperinflationary period. Everything is getting a lot more expensive. The city's going to start charging us more. Things aren't going to stay sweet forever. And we need to get ahead of this thing. The main reason why I believe that we need to merge with the city is I just spoke with the finance director this morning. And I said, so what are we doing as far as like our budget? What's going on? She said, we have about $3.5 million in our fund balance. And I said, well, where's that coming from? She said, well, mainly the housing prices are skyrocketing all across the country. You know, you've got a few of these huge businesses that are trying to buy up every house in America. And so as soon as a house in Wilkinsburg goes for sale, it gets bought up, and we get a little a percentage for the transfer property. She says that's basically what's keeping us afloat. Now, if we have another 2008 and there's a housing crash, well, there it goes. That's the bottom out of the boat. We cannot sustain this. Yeah, every time that we've done something with the city and partnered, we've saved money and we've benefited. This is just completing a process that's been in place since 2006. And it hasn't been rushed. And I also would say, Mr. Mayor, if you feel like nobody's been able to have a discussion, why didn't you promote this on your Facebook page so that Wilkinsburg could know about this?
I did.
No, I did. I posted.
No. I definitely did. I posted on my mayor page. I actually shared this. So yeah, I respect everything you're saying, but I don't think you listened to anything I've ever said. No one ever said
I did.
A bad idea. This is just something that, or it's very divisive, or councils can come together, or school boards can come together. Everyone's going back to Allegheny, but we overlook how Overbrook came here in 1930 or Carrick in 1927. It was a actual merger instead of an annexation. You get more people together when you rally up and you figure things out before you do it. No one say this should ever do it. This is actually a whole Allegheny County problem for consolidation. It's not a typical thing, but as being the first people to do it in 100 years, you have to set the bar high for other people to follow. If this fumbles, you're going to scare off everyone else. So the thing that everyone is saying that you're just jumping around is it should be talked about. Let's figure this out together instead of
it's been talked about for 2 years.
Not together.
You knew about this.
Not
you could
together.
Then why didn't, when you were campaigning, my question is simply, when you were campaigning last year, why didn't you make this an issue? Because I don't really
this was not brought up, sir.
Did you campaign on this, sir?
No, this was not brought up at all until after May 17th, 18th election.
No. January of 2019, the council actually did vote and said that they didn't want to merge with.
We're talking this annexation. We're talking strictly on this issue right here. You can sound cool and jump around, but we're talking about this right here. This right here, it should have been transparent instead of happening during a pandemic where people were scared to come out of their homes. People couldn't afford to come out of their homes. And it's a privilege to be able to do the things that was happening. It should have been transparent as much as it is right now. Granted,
there was a pandemic in 2019
because now has everyone talking, but this is the time now where we seize this, take it by the reins, get our councils together, get our school boards together, our police chiefs or mayors, and we figure this out before we just give it over.
Well,
thank you. I'm going to interject right quick, gentlemen. I really appreciate your passion. I'm going to remind you that, we want to have a dialogue. We want to take a couple steps back. I appreciate a robust, conversation. But we're talking about, is the annexation, is it a merger? I'm going to come to you first, Michael. What do you see as the disconnect between using the word annexation and merger for the residents of Wilkinsburg, and what questions should residents be asking about this process?
Okay, so one, you could say that the term annexation has a negative connotation. Maybe legally, yeah, you can say that, but annexation is like when Hitler annexed Austria. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like a war term. We annexed Hawaii. We annexed Puerto Rico. You know what I mean? This isn't the cities marching their troops down in Penn Avenue and Wood Street on Montier, and they're taking over. This isn't something like that. This is something that, once again, Dontae's side, people who are supporting him, have been pushing for this for decades. And now we're here to finish the job of what his side started. And, that's, you said the first part of your question was the difference between merger and annexation. What was the second part?
The second part was, what questions should residents be asking about this process?
Absolutely. Residents should be saying, okay, don't show me the trick bag. What's going to be in my wallet? All right. How is this going to affect my wallet? If I'm a renter, do I still have to pay that $200 garbage fee? Oh, no, I won't. That's an extra $200. Well, shoot, that's if I'm sensible, that's my kid's sneaker bill for the year. All right. I mean, you're going to ask, how is my community going to get safer? I would ask the mayor, do you know how many police officers we have per person, per 1,000 people in Wilkinsburg?
Come to you, Mayor, and ask you some of the same questions. I know you talked about the annexation earlier.
Can he answer that question?
Yes.
I'm just going to answer Miracle's question. She's the moderator.
So just because you don't have the answer.
No, more police per capita is never a good thing. More police is never a good thing.
Yes, it is. More police is Marxist thinking. That's why our community is where it's at right now. We do need police. Police are good for every community. I want my community. The best communities have the best policing. What are you talking about? We have 1.6 cops per 1,000 people in Wilkinsburg. The city has 2.9, and they're paying. I think we're paying $333 per person. The city, if you live in the city, you're paying $317. So you're basically getting twice as much for the same amount. That's not fair. Why should they pay twice as much for the same?
You are really just preaching the Wilkinsburg merger website. Can you say something original? Actually,
I'm going to go back, and I'm going to
let's get back to these questions, because if you brought more to the city, or cops will have to go around the borders, which make our call times go up instead of down.
Around the borders.
What was that question again? The merger and the annexation are separate. That's why he said the annexation of Puerto Rico. They're doing the annexation of Palestine right now. It is just the legal term, and that is what it is. You can't sugarcoat it. It's an annexation. No matter if it's a good or a bad way of doing it, that is legally what it is. So to call it a merger, like Mount Oliver merged with the school district, or Carrick merged with the city to become the city after it broke off and became its own borough, these are mergers.
My question to you is, you're saying I'm quoting the Wilkinsburg merger website. Where are your facts and statistics coming from?
Michael, we're gonna go to Miracle.
Miracle's question, and can I answer the second part?
Yes. Listen, gentlemen, I appreciate your passion. I don't want to have to mute you. What I'm going to ask is that we try to limit the crosstalk, because also the interpreters are having to interpret what you're saying. And I want to make sure that people get the questions answered. So you answer the first part, Dontae. The second question would be, what should people be asking themselves? And the follow-up is, Michael has asked if you could talk about how many police there are per capita. So if we could just answer.
Oh yeah, he answered that already.
Yes.
The people should be asking, what's the difference between Wilkinsburg, Homewood, East Hills, You know, that's our area right here. They're in the city. They're getting all the resources that they're saying is available, but they're screaming for help. That's exactly why Reverend Burgess said, hey, let's sit back, because this is his area. Let's sit back and make it make sense, because these are the questions that people are answering aren't being answered by the city who's taking this, who it actually will be under. So they should be asking, like, what will be the difference between like us, Arlington, Knoxville? What will be the difference? And that's my answer.
All right, Kahari, you're going to ask the next questions.
Yeah, before we jump to the next question, I did want to give a shout out to our ASL interpreters, Cameron, who was on earlier, and our current interpreter who's on the screen right now. Thank you so much for your service and everything that you do. Yeah, my question is, more so along the lines of what Miracle asked, as far as the questions that folks should be asking. But now this is for the the city of Pittsburgh perspective. What are the questions that city of Pittsburgh residents should be asking. We'll start with the mayor, because as city council, which is elected by city of Pittsburgh residents, will deliberate. And obviously, they made some decisions over the past couple of days about how they want to move forward with that. But as as the body that is elected by city of Pittsburgh residents, what should be the residents who hold us Pittsburgh City Council accountable? What questions should they be asking? And should be asking their representatives when they eventually, because even if it doesn't happen this year, next year, even 2 years from now, it seems obvious at some point there will be a vote, probably sometime in the next 5 years. So what should city of Pittsburgh residents be thinking?
They should be asking, why were we left out of this? They should be asking, will these people jump in line in front of us to get what we need? They should be asking sensible questions, because they are the dark group. They're just like our council. They don't have a worry. They should be asking, are these 15,000 people enough? We saw in the past 10 years, 10,000 Black people left Pittsburgh for Allegheny County. In 10 more years, will these numbers go down and we still go under 300,000? Like, it's just sensible questions.
Same question, Michael. What should city of Pittsburgh residents be questions should they be asking, and what? And as a proponent, as a proponent, what benefits do you see for Pittsburgh residents? In the proposal.
Right. Well, independent studies show that it's actually going to be a net positive for Pittsburgh. We're going to increase the population by 5%, which means that there's going to be a lot more federal funding going towards Pittsburgh. We have to keep Pittsburgh as a relevant hub in Western Pennsylvania. I mean, there's Philadelphia. We're in competition for them. I mean, he's talking about competition for resources. We're in competition with Philadelphia. What are you talking about? We need to increase our numbers as much as possible. You're talking about the Black population leaving. Well, what's your plan to stop it? Keeping us merged without having the access to resources is the reason why the Black people are leaving. You say that I don't listen to you, but brother, I listen to you. And I had my hands in my head listening to you at the way that you say that you're going to get us out of build back our prosperity, which was resorting to the lowest common denominator of Blackness, which is, oh, well, we're going to open up bars and weed dispensaries. It's like, come on, man, you got to do better than flooding the Wilkinsburg with weed and liquor. Okay.
So you didn't listen to what I said. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on, Michael. You muted yourself.
Okay, sorry. But this is extremely important. as far as Pittsburghers are concerned, Mayor Gainey is their mayor. Mayor Gainey basically put the fate of all of Pittsburgh and Wilkinsburg, about 350,000 people, in the hands of a man that only got maybe 1,000 or 2,000 votes, who I think ran unopposed. Right? How many? 3,000. I'm sorry.
I extended the voter turnout a little bit.
3,000 people.
I kind of
all right. So he said that basically the mayor wants Wilkinsburg. He said that he'll do whatever the Mayor Comans wants to do. I believe Mayor Comans should say, well, all right, then my constituents, a large part of us, want to merge. Why don't we allow democracy to take place? Because all we're talking about is trying to lean on one or two council people in the city to vote yes, because we have 4 votes already. All we need is a 5th to vote yes, so that we can decide for ourselves. Honestly, Mr. Mayor, if you had a Machiavellian bone in your body, you believe that we did not want to merge, you would go to Mayor Gainey, you would go to Reverend Burgess or Daniel LaBelle, and you would say, let them they don't have the votes. Let them go down, give them all the votes that you can give them, so that they can hang themselves with it. Because they don't have the votes. Let them go down in complete devastation and embarrassment in November when they don't get the votes. That's what you should be doing. Give us our chance.
Okay, so
yeah, so I'm back. Sorry about that.
We understand. You can hold the baby if you make it easier.
Come here. So clearly you went to a very, 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 very small first thing I've said that someone told you that you didn't hear me say.
No, I watched the video. Go to 34 minutes into the 2 months ago Mayor Roundtable. Don't believe anything that
right now, my brother.
Listen, I appreciate you all so very much. Please, we want y'all to have a conversation. We believe that people can have 2 differing points of view. And you're at the end of the day, we're all going to be neighbors and community members. So we're going to try to give everyone.
That's what he's missing. We don't have a difference of opinion. We have a difference of how it should go. This is something that needs to be talked about responsibly instead of just thrown out there. And I've came up with things and saying, hey, let's talk about this, and this. Let's look at our different taxes, because the majority of the 1,200 people out of 15,000, saying that that's a majority is like putting on a reverse racism, not racism, but reverse a race of this borough where, it's like the homeowner, which is the minority, has a grip and they have control and they can do whatever they want to, when there's people on the other side who's against it. I've been elected by both sides, so I'm representing both sides. So if I feel like this annexation is going the wrong way, when the council people and everyone else is saying, hey, let's talk about it and make it make sense before we make it a thing, that's what I'm here to represent. And I'm here to represent to bring ways to lower our taxes without the city of Pittsburgh. We can look into seeing if the borough wants to pitch in and at least go by 1% up in the occupational tax, just to go straight to the school district where we can lower some property tax. There's things that we can look at responsibly that people just don't want to look at. They just want to step over Wilkinsburg and say, this is the right thing, instead of saying, hey, in the meantime, let's be responsible. Let's see if the renters and everyone else want to pitch in with that 1% and see how it can offset on the occupational tax. On the property tax. People say it can't happen, but in Midland and Dauphin County, they proposed 27%. No one's going to ask for anything that high for occupational tax, but it is unfair in all the boroughs that the school districts being funded by homeowners. So we should look into what can be done on that, and that is what's responsible going forward. Especially if this don't happen, we have to think of things and think of ways. And what he was think of other businesses that can come in here.
Well, what I would ask you is, how much time do you need? We've known about this now for at least 4 years. How much more time do you need?
That right there, you're showing your privilege. You knew about this for 4 years. We have to represent the people that don't come out to vote, the people that's in the House, the unrepresented. We have to think about them. You're really
the
showing
privilege of
privilege
caring
right
about
now.
our
Just
community.
because you were in the know in that thing as a homeowner, we have to look out for the renters. We have to look at the transient. You know how many homeless people we have in Wilkinsburg? We have to think about all of these people when we think about
what's going to happen. Are they going to get killed? Are they going to get murdered when we merge? Or what about the homeless? What's happening? They're going to be out on the street. Somebody's going to shoot
we
them.
don't know, and we
We
can
don't
know
know.
if we bring these councils together and we bring everything. We bring it together. If you're doing this like this is so divisive. And divided we fall, united we stand. That's from the start what they say, even though the black people weren't at the table when they said it, but it's true. We could get so much further if we're together on this and come in there and say, yo, we got 5,000 people. We need this, and this for the city. Do instead of these 1,200 where there's 1,400 other people saying, well, we don't have a say in this at all. That's just not rocking. I'm not rocking.
You're the only person holding up this vote. You are the Joe Manchin of Wilkinsburg, and you're acting like you're the godfather of Wilkinsburg.
You look more Joe Manchin than me, but
the responsibility. Yes, you are, because you're holding up the democratic process.
I want to ask another question to you, Michael.
Yes.
For people in Wilkinsburg, we've heard a lot about the benefits to some of the businesses and the homeowners if this annexation goes through. Can you just talk a little bit about the benefits of like the business side, and also if there's any benefit to tenants, because anytime things happen, there's always a fear of gentrification. So can you talk about those benefits, but also respond to people's fears who worry that this is just a pretext for expansive gentrification of the area?
Right. Okay. So first, my dad is the perfect example. He's been living in Beacon Hill Apartments for like 20 years. I think when he moved there, he was paying about $900 a month. He's paying something like $1,300 now. All right. Everything that you say you're worried about is already happening. Gentrification, the black population has gone down 10%. The white population's actually gone up. We were 68% black 10 years ago. We're 58% black right now. You know, I don't know if you read the Tribune Review article, but the president of the Pittsburgh Council actually, now they're looking at, if they don't vote for us to merge, they're looking at annexing other communities. They're looking at, well, why Wilkinsburg? Why not Penn Hills? Why not Homestead? Why not East Homestead? Why not Etna? You notice what all if you look up that article, you know what all those communities have in common? They're all white. You know, now, if you know your black history, you know, white people never reserve anything just for them if it's not a good thing. All right. The Homestead Act, everything like that. It's always a good thing. What I'm saying is right now is the time. We have to get in first. We have to be the ones that before they decide, okay, well, shoot, we got Edgewood now. Why do we need them? You know, we're not necessarily arguing from a position of strength here, but this is our best shot, you know. And I understand. I mean, it's like we're not playing chess here. We have to play Go, the Chinese board game. We have to. Go is about occupying as much of the territory on the board with as few pieces as possible. All right. I think what the mayor's trying to do is play Uno, and the Pittsburgh Council is hitting you with reverse after reverse. We're going to be stuck looking up 10 years from now, looking at McKeesport and wondering what the hell happened. The same way that we're looking now, and you're like, wow, what happened to Johnston Elementary School? Wow, Dad, you know, what happened to all of our services? Where are all our people at? I went up to the Wilkinsburg High School the same year that I was running. And I went to Wilkinsburg High School back in 1999. It was a ghost town in there. A lot of times you won't notice how things are slipping away until things reach a critical mass and you realize things are there that aren't there that used to be there. I don't want that to happen. For once in our lives, can we please be proactive? Can we please, as Black people, get ahead of a problem instead of reacting to something and then saying, okay, now it's time to march? No, marching never accomplishes anything anymore because it's a tired, old strategy. It's fighting the old war, and I'm trying to fight the next war. That's what the Wilkinsburg Action Committee is trying to do. We're trying to teach you how to fight the next war.
Shout out to the WAC members. So you came on here and told activists who are all on here that what they're doing just don't work and is outdated and they should get there. The problem with people like you is they equate things to games, and games you can start over. In real life, you die, you die. Dead is dead. And you have to think about that and be smarter than to equate things to games.
Oh, okay.
No one is against this.
Oh,
as
well,
you're saying, it's not
okay.
a reverse. You're saying Uno. I got these. I practice all weekend. No, this is real life. We have to take our time, talk this out. If the council people saying like, "Yo, let's make this work and get this done together," both councils, both people, we're leaving people out. We have to do this together. You like I'm gonna keep saying, united, and compared it to games, just. It's not reality.
Listen, no, what you're doing is playing politics, and that's the problem. Ricky Burke
is
up
I'm
for
representing
re-election in 2 years.
people. I'm listening to everyone.
You don't want to lose your seat.
I don't represent one side, my guy.
My God, my name is Michael. You can call me Michael. You can call me Mr. Rose. Respect me. My name is Michael, not my guy.
I apologize. I really do. I respect you. The last time I saw you, we were out running, trying to campaign and stuff.
And helping.
You can't, and I disappeared for your family, took care of your family. This annexation came about. We had our meetings at Hosanna House. We had our meetings on the count. Then you came out of, with your cape on at the rally. And I respect you for that. And, people, both sides should be heard. But honestly, I'm the wrong person because you really want to debate. That's I hear it. You've been practicing. I'm not the person
what you're hearing is
like an expert. Remember, my dog China Lee and everything. It's like we are here for the same thing. You're trying to go about it this way that the corporation wants to push it. Instead of listening to the people, everyone. We should listen to everyone instead of a lot of people are.
Then listen to us, Dontae. Listen to us, Mr. Mayor.
I have been. I listen to everyone.
Apparently you're not, because you're not giving us what we want.
Well, Michael, just let the mayor finish his point, and then
I apologize.
Honestly, he got it, man.
I have a question. So we're talking about this process, and Dontae, you're saying we need the councils to come together. Is there a possibility that Michael, your organization can come together with Dontae and have a meeting with both councils, whether it's a special council meeting, and actually sit down and have a conversation? Because once something has started, it's always hard. It's always hard to get things back in. So we're here. Whether it's 5 years now, 10 years now, you're saying that this annexation may happen. So if the issue right now is that people feel that they have been left out, is there any possibility that your organizations and the mayor's office can come together, have a special, bi-council meeting, or you and Mayor Gainey come together, have a special session and get something done?
Is that to me or
both
to the mayor? Okay, well, first, I want to say yes, absolutely. I'm always up for dialoguing and discussing. I think discourse, I think that, speaking to one another, that's how you solve everything. Communication is everything. So, I'm more than willing and happy to. Actually, you know what? That's thinking three-dimensionally. That's thinking to the end zone. What is the actual end game here? Not to use the word game again, but what is the end game? How do we actually solve this divide? And absolutely, if we, me and Dontae could, we're not going to Salvador's and we're not going to the dispensary, but we can talk over some coffee.
No,
and
we're not going to Miss Jeans.
Where at?
Miss Jeans, a true Wilkinsburg staple.
Oh, well, I don't know. What about Fireside?
Royal Caribbean. We can Wilkinsburg dance, but you saying that right there shows that you haven't listened to anything I said from that one thing. I said exactly that. We should all come together, or school boards, or councils, or mayors, or police chief, because we have all of these entities that are coming together. We have different unions for our teachers. We have a lot of things going on in the school district that we could lose going into the city that we can't guarantee that we'll keep. Like, we have children that are published authors whose books are getting published. We have Spanish all through the elementary school now, so they could be better. And we all know pre-K through 6th grade is where you get your foundation at. And right now, when we go to PPS in Westinghouse, a Wilkinsburg kid is a valedictorian every year because of the foundation that Dr. Iverson put on her, separating the kids, putting this new structure in, having us be able to lower taxes 2 times in the past 5 years. This is all progress that's getting pushed.
Hold on,
because
I'm actually, Michael, I'm actually in the school board building right now. I'm actually in the school board building right now. It's just speaking.
I know. I'm very familiar with that. You know, I was there too when we lowered the taxes the second time.
They were right. Well, they were also saying, and you know this, that those taxes could just as easily go right back up.
That's why we have to figure out a way to get it responsibly taken down. If we introduce different taxes,
if we merge with the city, that's how you do it.
Not a merger, it's an annexation. With a merger, you have a say-so in what's going on. You have it mapped out. You can't come as the WCDC spent $300,000 for this borough situation. Alliance for Police Accountability spent $180,000 for a county-wide 2 ballot measures, almost half the price for a whole county opposed to 15,000 people. And for them just to come and say, hey, this is the day to take it. No, they're like, let's look at it. We got to get this thing on ourselves. Let's talk about it. Let's bring it together. And if we don't come together, like you said, they're talking to other people. If we fumble now, it could be bad for everyone else. And like I said, look at it. You talk about this Allegheny. Go do the history of Carrick being murdered. It has a picture showing their last council meeting on 1926 when they closed their books to become the city of Pittsburgh in 1927. 3 years later, Overbrook did the same thing without this law that's being used right now. So for anyone that's saying that this is the only way to lower the school district tax is a lie. This is the only way that we can consolidate with the city is a lie. It's like lead with facts, not feelings. And that's what everything has been on.
Dontae, you haven't really given us any sources or any kind of real facts. I mean, you're the one.
I'll email you the news articles. We all have the same reach for information. And if I would ask you, I can release news clips and everything, but just like the WCDC spent $300,000 for this law, they could have did the same thing. Like, there are other ways to do it, but it's just so a coincidence that we have to do it before this 2 years over that Rich Fitzgerald's gone.
Miracle.
For it to happen.
Okay, so it was has nothing to do with the people.
Let's let Michael respond.
Yeah, first of all, with the Wilkinsburg CDC demonizing them, that has nothing to do with that.
Never did that.
And second of all, yeah, you did. And second of all, keep in mind, Pittsburgh has to look at this as what's in it for us. They actually have to want to merge with us. If we come to them with we want everything. Yeah, we want to dictate to you on our terms. It has to be symbiotic. It's already been mostly symbiotic. Like I said, we have no trash collection, we have no fire department. We've given up. We have no middle school, no high school. We've given up everything already. We're just taking that
representation. It's a new day. It's a new day. That was bad. We skimmed off the fact of why there was people on the school board that saw every school close, and now they're gone and everything. We have to really be transparent and point the fingers before we get anyway. If you're just saying this and this happened, if you're not being transparent and saying why this redlining, why my grandmother's house is 30,000 on Monterey, perfect, is move-in ready, and if it was moved to Black Ridge, it would be 100,000. We are burdened by redline. That's why we have high taxes, because there's a tale of 3 Wilkinsburgs. It's Black Ridge, Regent Square, and Middle Wilkinsburg. And Middle Wilkinsburg has been redlined since the start.
Okay.
And it won't change.
I have a question. So we're talking about this process and things, you're saying that things need to be slowed down. Do you have any demands for the annexation? Do you have that you would like to see going forward? Is there a specific percentage of Wilkinsburg people you would like the city to hire? Can you just talk through that? Because I'm not sure if that has been put out there.
We need to hear from the city, not from the and first of all, I've been talking to Tracy in the WCDC. I would never demonize it. What I talked about was how much was spent. They've did what they felt like they had to do. Whether I felt like it was wrong because everything was happening during a pandemic, that's different. It could have waited till after, or we saw what a new reality was. But I'm sorry, what was the question one more time?
Do you have any? I know Michael was on his cell phone, says power. He may have lost power.
Yeah.
But do you have any demands for?
Oh yeah. I just need to know our representation. You know, we're bringing the whole school district. It's not a lot of students, but we're bringing a district. We're bringing funds. We have our own police. You know, what will happen with that? We have our own chief. You know, we have our DPW who will our streets look different afterwards, you know, because I tip my hats to them. They do an amazing job. They get out there and get things done. You know, and an amazing thing too, that, you know, they talk about trash like we contract them. It would be way more expensive to use Biggs than it would be the city. So we are a contract with the city that's, you know, it's been doing great. And people in it, especially the fire department, I've, you know, talked to them. There's people that was on there when it was, you know, still Wilkinsburg. I mean, Wilkinsburg could have did like a lot of other boroughs where it made it volunteer, but they did it. We wanted a quality of service. So we partnered with them. Like, we are giving as much as we're getting with the students too. We're actually paying for all of our students to go to PPS. They have to stop talking to it like they're doing it for free. It's not free. We pay. We have, you know, we're both of our all of our budgets are in the black, not the red. The only thing we're failing at, in my eyes, is the blight and Penn Avenue. And I'm working with people to bring and brighten up or Penn Avenue without worrying about government funds. You know, there's a group of people who see the beauty in Wilkinsburg and our autonomy, and we can get things done faster in a borough than we could in a city. Like how everyone say we want the hill to be our Wakanda. But in reality, a Wilkinsburg could be that because these residents vote the people in. These residents vote people that are supposed to be like-minded. And the more we engage with people, the more people get out there and vote, it can be a real representation of what we have. And we right now, I feel like me leading with love and coming in there is a transition that's needed to bring everyone together and make things transparent to see what it looks like, what it'd be to stay, it'd be to go. Like I said, I'm looking at things, the lower taxes or property taxes, because if you ask the people, 90% of them saying or taxes are too high. But in reality, if these same cribs were in the city at this current moment, they'll be double, triple the price. So it's like, you can't have both sides. So we just have to figure out how to make it make sense.
I do have a question because there has been a lot of conversation about the population of Pittsburgh. You know, we're a second-class city. It has to be, I think, over that 302 or 5 mark or whatever. But if the population declines, we lose that status. So do you worry about if this annexation doesn't go through and Pittsburgh loses its status, some of those benefits and resources will no longer be there?
I think honestly, it should be looked at a larger scale. Like, you know, we as our boroughs, we should all come together to see what it looks like for a consolidation. Like I mentioned earlier, like Houston and Cleveland, they actively do it all the time. And if it can help for the greater good of the metropolitan Pittsburgh area and make it make sense, I would never be opposed to that on a larger scale. But to come in and first in the rush like this, so it's basically saying that these minority, because it's only 1,200 signatures out of 15,000, it's only a percentage of the voters, makes all the decisions. And we have to represent the people that's not coming to the table. No matter if they want to see that table or not, we have to represent everyone. The voiceless, it's just the job, especially if you're an elected official. Now, it's easy to be on the sideline and say this and you care about this. You're a homeowner. Of course, I feel his passion. He's a homeowner. You have to think about other people. And I think about other people more than I think about myself. It's the job. Like, a lady called me this morning just to ask me, like, hey, my job is in Oakland. I have to go down Fifth Avenue. Will it be affected by the bridge? Imagine the jumping of the lines they would have to do to get to a major mayor like that. It's just a family. I just wanted to move like a family, and if we can come together and make it make sense, I'm here for it. But if not, I have to just stick with my my gut and say you gotta do right by us. Like he was saying, like what do we got to look at? Like what do they bring to the table? We can bring more to the table ourselves too if we just be more fluid and transparent and get the people engaged. I do plan to double voter turnout just by getting more people registered. It's our civic duty. So Wilkinsburg residents, you will see me out there knocking on doors and different events, because no matter what, we have to get together. I'm tired of these war of wards where Ward 1, 2, and 3 are all beefing and people are in their silos chilling. We all have to come together. It has to be a one Wilkinsburg, or we're just going to be a thing of the past. Like I was saying to him about this about being games, man. Games you can restart. This is real life. When you die, you die.
Yeah. Well, I do hope that maybe after this, y'all will meet at Fireside, or
this is all I've been saying the whole episode, though.
And work this out, because I think the community also needs to see examples of Black men who have strong disagreements, but also still, being able to work together and come to the best solution. So I do want to thank you so much for coming on the program, for the conversation, and we'll good luck to you, and thank you again.
I appreciate all of y'all, definitely, especially the interpreter, because she is killing it.
All right,
thank you so much. And that's Mayor Dontae Comans of Wilkinsburg. Also want to thank Michael Rose. Not sure, he had some technical difficulties about 10 minutes ago, but I want to thank him as well from the Wilkinsburg Action Committee. And very spirited discussion about the future of Wilkinsburg. I want to thank them both for joining us. Before we adjourn for the evening, Miracle, any final words and any other activities this week? And actually, before you say that, I will say that for those, in case you missed it, this past Sunday night, we did the Sunday night sit down last night with Martell Covington, candidate for PA State House. We will be doing an announcement in the next day or two about who will be joining us this Sunday night on the Sunday night sit down. So just stay tuned for that. Then I'll pass it back to Miracle.
Yes, so we want to thank you all so much for tuning in. If you are on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot of great content coming for you. If this is your first time tuning into one of our programs, we are the One Hood Power. We are a 501c4 organization that's working to build power throughout Pennsylvania, particularly in Black and Brown communities. So please make sure you stay tuned, follow, like, and subscribe for our content. Make sure you're registered to vote, because we have a lot of elections coming up. And again, if you're in the Wilkinsburg area, you also want to make sure you're paying attention to these maps. There's a lot of proposed maps, and so your elected officials may actually change. So please make sure you're following us and staying tuned. Again, for those of you in the 9th who are currently in the 19th and 24th legislative districts, where Wheatley and Gainey are your representatives, your tentatively April 5th is going to be your special election. So please want to make sure you're paying attention and seeing all the folks who are running for those races. For those of us who are supporting the One Hood News Network, making sure on Wednesdays you join us for This Week in White Supremacy. And next week we have a full show for you. Sunday we have the Sunday Sit Down. Monday we're going to have Power Hour again, talking about upcoming election predictions and what's going on in East Liberty. Tuesday we'll have What Black Pittsburgh Needs to Know About Mental Health. And Wednesday we'll be back with This Week in White Supremacy. And Thursday is going to be a very special Ask a Black Doctor. It's going to be an in-person setting. So again, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us. And I'm turning it over to Kahari to see us out.
Yeah, thanks again to Michael Rose from the Wilkinsburg Action Committee and Mayor Dontae Comans of Wilkinsburg for joining us tonight discussing a very important issue, the future of Wilkinsburg. I want to thank my co-host, Miracle Jones. I also want to thank our ASL interpreters. Thank you so much for all you do, as well as making our broadcast more accessible to broader folks within the community, which is something that we're very feel very strongly about. So that was tonight's episode of the One Hood Power Hour, and this is Kahari Mosley for Miracle Jones. Thank you again, Michael Rose and Mayor Dontae Comans, for joining us tonight. And we'll see you next week. We'll be talking all about the special election in the 24th Legislative District. Good night. See you this Sunday on the Sunday Night Sit Down.